Greetings, CWALers and interested parties. This is Fron versus Jayj, Game 1 of the official CWAL Starcraft 2 Beta Tournament. I'm Jayj, and I'll be commenting on this match. In the upper right corner is Fron Auriga, who is the blue Zerg. He picked random and randomly drew this. And in the bottom left, this is me, Jayj, in the ever-attractive and not at all feminine pink. And we are playing on Steppes of War, which is, of course, as everyone knows by now, my least favorite map. The interesting thing about this match is that it was actually decided as to who would win, most likely, in the very first opening moments of the match. Mainly because Fron did a gamble in that I would not, in fact, rush on a very well-known rush map. Which is a good bet, usually, since I am not well known for my rushes. But, just this afternoon, I had learned the 8-pool rush. Basically involves making 8 drones, putting down a spawning pool, making 9 drones and an overlord, and then pumping out 8 little zerglings to go harass the opponent very quickly. If Fron had drawn Terran, I would have been screwed, but he, luckily enough, drew Zerg. And it looks like he is going for a 13 or 14 pool. Meanwhile, the spawning pool is already going. As you can see, we're scouting each other with overlords. I, as usual, am going to send my overlord, first one at least, to the natural expansion to hover right around the exterior so it can spot collectors and harvesters as they go into the mineral line. Gives me a warning when he's getting it up and running. Fron has completed his 13 pool and is making an early extractor. Meanwhile, I'm just focusing on minerals right now, and I've got my first zerglings out. His second overlord is floating about, and is standing guard. And he, after 15 drones, he is not even making his first zergling. This will come back to bite him later. My first 8 lings, with the 2 little stragglers behind there, are going up to harass now. Initially I was going to try to stall 2 lings, which actually he's just making now, stall them with 2 of my lings, and have the other 6 concentrate on drones. But Fron, as befits his skill, is quick to attack with his drones. They take down 3, 5... Looks like 5 drones before the other zerglings are taken down. Overall, not great for harass, but it did put his economy enough behind. I now have 10 drones as well, and I am, actually just about even. His 4 lings that will only be able to harass me a little bit. Fron said afterward that he had difficulty getting his economy back up after the harassment. He's just now getting his queen out. Meanwhile, I'm busily making new larvae. His attempt to harass my drones was unsuccessful. Fron has also parked his overlord outside my natural expo, a little bit closer in, more vulnerable to air fire attack, but more easily able to see when I'm actually going to put up my pool, my hatchery, as opposed to simply, as now, he can see me putting up my hatchery and has early warning, whereas I will only be able to see the harvesters, even though he won't be able to actually attack me until he has air units. Meanwhile, he's having a force of 8 lings guard his entrance just in case I try the same trick and try to go harass again. With my 6 lings, it doesn't look good for me, but I'm expecting this and making more as we speak. Meanwhile, my second overlord is going to hover over his second natural expo behind the rocks. He'll have a tough time actually getting these down, and as you can see, I was poking at my rocks. I actually ended up having to cancel the hatchery just before it was destroyed. I was hoping that the lings would quickly deal with the threat, but the fact that the enemy lings were focused so much on a hatchery that was going to be salvaged anyway allowed my lings to destroy them pretty much with impunity. This gave me enough of a backup force to be able to effectively drive off his attacks. Probably won me the game after his probe here, because roaches are not as good against zerglings as they once were. He has 2 refineries up, but he's not collecting from one, probably hoping to collect a few minerals. Roaches are very mineral heavy. Meanwhile, I'm attempting to get a second extractor up and making my own roach warren for defense. At this point, when you know what the enemy's doing, you can pretty much expect that, especially in a Zerg versus Zerg match, if you go Mutalisks versus a Roach Hydra combo, you're going to lose. Hydras are way too effective against Mutalisks unless you mass them up, and in this kind of high-tension match, you're not going to get a chance to. Fron is building up his forces here. He's going to attempt another harass. My 18 lings will have a tough time of it. Even now I'm attempting to make a couple of extra roaches to drive off. Another roach is making here. My forces can't quite keep up. These reinforcements are too strong. My micro is not the best here, but I didn't have much to work with at this point. I pull this roach back, expecting him to chase and stall them. He tries to go with my hatchery and kill my one drone here, and that gives me just enough time to rally my forces. My 2 roaches and 1 hydra, and then these lings are enough to catch the roaches. All this time I've been trying to expand with my creep tumors. My usual goal is to get it across the map because hydras move so much faster on creep. My probe of the roaches was mainly just to see if he was putting his expansion, which he just started. Knowing that he has at least 3 roaches, at this point I started to build more, but it looks like he's going into full-scale roach production, which I am about to as well, although I'm focusing it almost as much on building up my econ. That's going to give me a little bit of an edge in this match. Right here was actually where I ended up almost freezing. My video card, had a few spasms, and it took about almost 5 minutes for my computer. I guess that's a bit exaggeration. It took me an uncomfortably long time for my computer, Melfina, to get her shit together. At this point, it's devolved into a Roach versus Hydra contest, but Fron here is a little bit slow to collect his Hydra. And here, I'm sacrificing an Overlord to see what he's got. The Overlord likely won't survive the day. Meanwhile, I've got my roaches in from the side, and my Hydra's on this side. Trying to craft them, the roaches, in a pincher maneuver.